morning, Frank, Portia, fellow Bass brothers and sisters, and grandchildren, and other guests. I do have to say, it is definitely an honor to speak in front of you and tell you a little bit about the impact of Frank's research. And I'm sure that I talk for all of the Bass students that we're all really proud of being part of the Bass family, and that we owe Frank a lot. And actually, I wanted to mention one other little sort of issue, first thing. Another person who I owe quite a bit. When I came into the PhD program, Bass he said, "Well, Peter, I've had another student from the Netherlands, and I was very impressed with this person." Well, at that point in time, I didn't know who he was talking about. It took me a couple of years, but of course that student was Dick Winning. And so I think Dick actually played also an important role for me being in the PhD program, because Frank thought very highly of Dutch scholars. So thanks, Frank, and thanks, Dick. So let me now go into the impact of Frank's work. And you may see one thing already when you look at this graph. It is slightly different than the one in the package, because I was talking to Frank, and he just had another paper just conditionally accepted in IJRM. When I look at this list, it is not necessarily the number what impresses me, but it's the quality. Look at 22 papers in Journal of Marketing Research. Actually, when I went through this process, I found a few extra papers which were not on Frank's resume. Actually, I wanted to ask him, I said, "Frank, if I get you some JMRs, can I be co-author?"
Good.
And looking at this number over here, JMR, Marketing Science, Management Science, and JM combined, there's over 45 publications in just those journals. So we're talking here about a list where most of these articles are in the top journals and in marketing. But how better to take a look at what the impact of the work is by looking how other scholars respect that work. And I think very important measure of that is by looking at the citations of other researchers. So in the package there's a complete citation analysis, and of course I cannot go through all of the papers, so I decided, well, first I was going to do the top 10. I said, but now the top 10 actually has a lot more than 10 classic papers, so I decided to take the top 20. Let's talk about this with Steve Shugan, and he was saying, well, what is really a classic paper? And he said, well, there's something magic about like 50 citations. Well, there's a few who are not on 50 yet, but I think they're going to be there soon. So I'm just going to go through, try to go through this list a little bit quick. So the top 20 Bass papers, and based upon citations, starting at number 20, the work with Bob Leone in Management Science, looking at the aggregation issues. Moving on to 19, why the Bass model. So this is basically what Frank would call the ultimate Bass model, published in Marketing Science, and this was only published in 1994 and already has 44 publications, and that was of course with Trichy and Deepak. On number 18, work with Ram, which was published in JMR, looking at competition, strategy, and price dynamics. Moving on to 17, where you saw that earlier the paper Simultaneous Equation Regression Analysis of Sales and Advertising with Len Parson, and some of these issues again coming back today. On number 16, paper with Dick Winning in JMR, and so 48 citations, firm effects and industry effects in the analysis of market structure and profitability. And on number 15, again, Dick, also in JMR, this is the well-known classic, the pooling issue in regression analysis. On number 14, also a classic with Given, Kalwani, Dave Riepstein, and Gordon Wright in Marketing Science, which looked at the order of the brand choice process. On number 13, with 55 citations, paper in Management Science with Abel, Joland, and Gordon Wright, Equilibrium, Stochastic Choice, and Market Penetration Theories. Moving on to number 12, a paper in JMR with Wayne Talarek, I may have mispronounced it a little bit until I check. An attitude model for the study of brand preferences. Okay, moving up to number 11, also a classic with is it Tigard and Lonsdale in JMR, looking at segmentation, so group versus individual behavior. Now we're starting to get up there, the top 10 with 70 citations, again another paper with Abel Gerland and Gordon Wright, and this one operations research, and again, so these were really the multivariate extension of the MBD model. The paper with Daryl Clark looking at lagged effects of advertising in JMR. On number 8, another classic with Don Lehman. Make sure I have the right one. With Don Lehman and Edgar Pessimir in behavioral science, an experimental study of the relationship between attitude, preferences, and choice. Really started some of this whole idea of zero-order behavior. A sole author paper on number 7 with 81 citations in JMR of comparative analysis of attitudinal predictions of brand preferences. On number 6, another sole author paper with 86 citations, again in JMR, simultaneous equation regression study of advertising and of sales of cigarettes. On number 5, 94 citations, the relationship between diffusion rates, experience curve, and dynamic elasticity of consumer durables. Again, a sole author paper in Journal of Business. And now we get to the 100 mark. So this is the well-known the Norton-Bass model, and of course, published with John Norton in management science, and this was also a winner of the DC Little Award for the best paper. Then on number 3 was 121 citations, another big classic, the Odell Award winner in JMR for the theory of stochastic preferences of brand switching. Number 2, paper in JM with Mahajan and Muller, and that had 243 citations. It's an overview of diffusion models in marketing. And of course we all know number 1. That is pretty straightforward. So a new product growth model for consumer durables, published in Management Science in 1969, reprinted in Management Science in 2004. This was selected as one of the top 10 papers ever published in Management Science by its readership. And also, what was actually, I think, a very big achievement, out of the top 10, there's 3 people here in the room. One of them was Patty, one of the best children, and of course the third one was by John Little himself. So, but I think that really some of the amazing statistics here is that we're talking about some of us will be happy if we have one or 2 classic papers in our life, and Frank has close to 20 of them. And when I looked at the citation analysis, on average, the number was more than 40 per article. So, and I think that's really an astonishing number. The next thing we'll take a quick look at is who Frank has published with. So he has had 53, no actually it is at least 54. I found that yesterday was one person who I had to add to the list, and he's now at the bottom of the list. But so there's a lot of the people here in this room who are on this list, and I'm definitely not going to go through this list all, but I'm going to just mention a few, and in particular Deepak, who could unfortunately not be here, being the #1 co-author of Frank with 5 papers. Point out a few other ones. Twitchy had 3 papers. John Norton had 3 papers with him. Edgar Pessimir, 4 papers with Frank. I just 2 papers. Okay. Ron Rao had 3 papers. Shuba did also 3 papers. And Tigard 3 papers, and Gordon Wright also had 3 papers. So we're talking about a very impressive list of co-authors. Now I'm going to finish up with one little analysis which was done by Jacob Koldenberg from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And what this is basically a second generation. you could kind of think about the Norton Bass analysis of co-authors. So, but this is talking like a little bit of how Frank's contributions diffused over the whole population of like authors in marketing. So these are co-authors of people who have authored with Frank. And clearly I'm not going to go through all of this list because there are 317 of them. But I think, again, this is a very impressive list. And the other thing which is really impressive here is the number. Because if I would look at my second generation, I don't know, I haven't really done it, but I'm sure there's only a handful of people on there. And here, like this is most people in the field. And just kind of say, you know, this is not a printing error, I just didn't include the first names, but there are quite a number of Srinivasan's. And I'm sure that I have actually, and it's not only you, others. But, and I'm sure that there's a few other people which probably were left out over here, but, you know, like, it's a very impressive list, you know, like, so the publications, the authors, the co-authors, second generation co-authors, and it just again shows, you know, like the contribution what Frank has made through his research. So thank you for allowing me to tell you a little bit about Frank's research.
Peter,
oh, yeah.
I think this would be a really good time if I could have 1 minute
Sure,
to tell
yes,
about the CD.
Please.
Well, we've brought a CD for everybody, and it's Frank's papers. So this has most of his papers in PDF, and if you have any that are not on here, we'd like them. But we found one really wonderful thing when we were searching for these. And we found Purdue working paper of the Bass model paper that was in 1965, and it had it has extra cases that weren't published in management science, and it has some Frank's handwritten notes and arithmetic checking the models and so on, and it's on here with the Purdue covers.
Thank you. What? No, I'm not on. You're on.
That's not you.
Yeah.
Get rolling back.
Questions, discussion?
What? Yes.
Are we questions, discussion?
Now the only thing is if you find out that
Well, should I get